Let's jump into three-wave trades. This is made exclusively for our Patreon members. These are liquid ETFs with liquid options and liquid stocks with liquid options. We've got a little list that we cull through each and every week. When we see something on a run, we try to keep up with it. Again, gives you some options for trading. Let's jump into ARK Innovation Fund. We saw ARK, just sort of after it started moving down strongly in April. That sort of stopped there. That was the beginning of April, sort of stopped at the end, and then just doji. Then down, then doji, spinning tops, spinning tops, doji, small, volatile kind of little things just staying about the same area. Then last week, it started to move up and moved up again this week. So again, interesting. First time we've really seen green candles start to take off after just a bunch of spinning tops, both red and green. Dojis, a lot of them. And again, just seeing ARK start to take off again. Wish we had the kind of volume that we saw with this interim low, and then, of course, a green spinning top back in late October of last year, where the blast off occurred going up. Haven't seen that yet. And again, don't expect to. It's a summertime trading zone, but we do see some telltale green candles of up movement. Let's take a look now at Emerging Market Index Fund. Of course, they popped up. We were following them when they took off, had an interim low, had a nice turn. Well, we had sort of a dead week and then a nice turnaround. Again, I'd prefer a doji. I don't like these big green up candles starting things off, but it continued and went up for 2 more weeks, then slowing down, and then has taken off again as emerging markets have moved even higher. So it's good to see emerging markets do that. Again, this was sort of a screwy turnaround here. We don't really look to do that where we have a red doji after some high energy down move. That's not the way we get into things. But again, summertime trading zone. Don't count on a lot of volume here. We're going into the 4th week of watching emerging market ETF rally and move up further. GDX. Of course, it's been good to us in some of these moves. These are gold miners, the gold miners ETF. No volume to back this up, but after 3 weeks of down movement, a doji last week, we saw things take off, and again, another week of green up movement. Now, the Russell 2000, which again caught fire back in late April for 3 weeks till about mid-May, and then started dying on the vine and moving down, and it's just sort of tracking sideways with dojis right now. Again, you can see the up move, little bit of that as far as our trend line goes, but again, nothing really backing that up. Just sort of watching it, seeing what the Russell's going to do. It's a much bigger index, of course, 4 times the size when it comes just the number of stocks than the SPY, that is the S&P 500, and of course 20 times larger than the NASDAQ 100, but again, it is smaller caps. So just sort of a broader potential to look at, and just not really doing that much, just sort of meandering along. So we'll keep an eye on that. I mean, we saw where things really took off with some good candles for a turnaround, my kind of turnaround, interim low back in October of last year, end of October, with high volume, and then a green spinning top, my most popular turnaround, and of course with high volume, and then things just took off with a bang. And then since then, really hard to follow much of anything, particularly here lately. So just sort of sloppy and not doing a lot. Markets, maybe they're waiting on the presidential elections. I don't know. But you can see this broad swath of the market, again, not really doing that much. What about silver? Silver had a good run up starting back in March, and we saw it bust up till about mid-April, then down for a couple of weeks, bust up again until the end of May, and then down for 4 weeks and trying to take off again. Don't have any volume backing that up. We had a green spinning top last week, an up candle this week. Again, don't know where silver's going. Could maybe find a ceiling here somewhere around, let me bring that down so we can see it, somewhere around the 29.50 mark maybe. We'll keep an eye on it. And then lastly, as far as our ETFs go, we saw where the energy market tried to take off. It literally tried to blast off 2 weeks ago, going on 3 weeks ago now. That would be the 24th of June, after going down for many, many, many weeks, after reaching its high back in early April. And then this week, just blasting right through the weekly trend line, heading down. You can see the strong down candle for the Monday, Tuesday. And you can see where things really started launching down on Friday morning, Friday afternoon, and then Monday and Tuesday. That sector down hard. So let's move now to the liquid stocks with liquid options. And that list, we've got 5 of them for you. We'll start with Apple. Look at Apple go. Look at the Apple grow. Just keeps on keeping on moving up. Already a beautiful week for Apple. Once Apple hit that last round of earnings, it turned around and pushed up, and then has just been pushing up ever since then with some super strong weeks, like the super high volume on the week beginning Monday, the 10th of June. Again, high volume that next week, and Apple just shooting up even higher last week and this week. So beautiful. What about Ford? Well, Ford again hit its interim high back on April the 1st, the week beginning then, and then rolled over, heading down for many weeks, and then back on 3 weeks ago on the 24th of June, turned around and is moving up again. And again, we had a red spinning top with average volume hitting that interim low, and then we had average volume with a green up candle. Again, not a perfect turnaround, but the volume helps you sort of see where things were going, and when things took off, they've continued to move up for Ford. What about Meta? Old Facebook. Where's it going? Well, it just keeps going up. It went up for quite a while, had that earnings boost back in late January, moved it on up, and then just sort of stalled, tried to pop up there in early April, and then really moved down in that earnings week, really hammered down, slowed down the next week, and then started sort of inexorably moving up since then, and even higher this week. Tesla. What a beautiful recovery from Tesla after, earnings really moving down. It then popped up. And again, this would have been it ended up working, but man, I would not have recommended jumping in, because our jumping in point with the weekly vertical crossover would have been this week. We had the interim low with higher than average volume the next week, but we would like the kind of candle we saw the following week with the kind of volume we saw in that first week after the week of the vertical crossover going up, the week of the 29th of April. But we didn't have it. We had a big green up candle. And this is what's dangerous about those. I've used this a couple of times before as a teaching lesson, where we had so much energy popping it up, and then look what happened. 4 weeks on end, never got anywhere near the high it had been. You would have just been watching yourself drag, wondering how much you were going to lose if you stayed in, feeling like an idiot. And then finally, weeks and weeks later, on the 24th of June, it popped up big on the 1st of July, and again popping up again on this week beginning the 8th of July. Today alone, as I record this, 3.71%. Boom. Okay, what about ExxonMobil? Now, this is an interesting one. and it's loading up very slowly. Hopefully it'll load up. There we go. It tried to take off last week, and of course, as we saw energy dump, ExxonMobil dumped this week. So, and it was a decent setup, interim low. Again, little bit of a spinning top there, not much of one. I would have preferred more of a wick on the bottom, but I can't fault it. But this is one of those that, again, died on the vine. It happens. It happens. And the energy just pulled back in a couple of ways. Energy itself and the energy of the chart. God bless, my friends. All the best. Again, Patreon members, thank you for all your support. Hope you enjoy these weekly rants and our ability, again, to track these ETFs with liquid options and stocks with liquid options. God bless. Thank you for your support of the work we do here, chartingwealth.com. If it weren't for you, wouldn't be able to do it. God bless.